civilization, Afghanistan has been a hub of diverse cultures, prompting one historian to dub it the roundabout of the ancient world. Those who settled included the Persians under Darius the Great and the Greeks led by Alexander the Great. Many present-day towns are built on Greek foundations. A Buddhist civilization flourished from the late 1st century CE, its king reigning in Bamyan until the end of the 10th century. During the 7th century, the Rashidun Caliphate entered the territory after defeating the Senan Persian in need and strengthened as the Turks gained power in Iran, Afghanistan, and India in the beginning of Islam. In the region, the Mongolian Chinggis Khan invaded in the 13th century. For the next few hundred years, Afghanistan was fought over by various Indian and Persian empires. Finally, in the 18th century, a group of Pashtun tribes under Durrani, also known as Ahmed Shah Abdali, defeated the Mughal and the Persians and consolidated its own large but unstable empire. Afghanistan often appears in the Western imagination as a barren, arid land, a forbidden graveyard of empires. This perception does not do justice to its cosmopolitan history. As a crossroads between South Asia and Central Asia, Islam is now the official state religion of Afghanistan, with approximately 99.7% of the Afghan population being Muslim of the Hanafi school. Roughly 90% practice Sunni Islam, while around 10% are Shias. Most Shi belong to the 12 branch in only a smaller number. Follow Ismism, the magical and vast nature of Afghanistan, has been one of the most essential factors in the implementation of strategic plans of great powers throughout history in this part of the world, including its strong economy in the Middle Ages and the tall mountain ranges, house and flats, desert areas, rivers, and the special geopolitical situation showed the magnificence of the country to the explorers. Therefore, yes, yesterday's Khorasan and today's Afghanistan hosted them at certain times, and the powers came and went, or they were dissolved among the native people with their cultural and ideological mixing. The arrival of pre-Islamic religion is one of the consequences of those movements, whose remains include golden cups from the treasure of Floor Hill Greek, words of Aum vases with Roman sheaves, small Indian plates found in Bam, and luxurious jewelry talati, and thousands of other remains talk about the artistic, cultural, and religious mixing of the ancient region, the ancient city of Balkh, in what is now northern Afghanistan, sat along one of the routes of the Silk Road. Balkh was one of the great trading posts of the region and served as a political and religious center for millennia. According to some sources, it was from B that the Prophet Zura first preached the religion that would become Zoroastrianism, the official faith of several Persian dynasties barrier. The wider region around Balkh came under Persian rule as a satrapy or province of the Ayyamid Empire, and then centuries later, under the rule of the Parthian and Sinan dynasties. In between, it was among the conquest of Alexander the Great, who left an indelible mark on the territory and its culture. Hellenic culture took root in the region with the Greek language, script, and iconography and frequent use, including on the coins of Greco-Ba'an rules. The coins of Agath, who ruled in the 2nd century BCE, mingled Greek and South Asian imagery and writing, placing Buddhist and Hindu figures on the front of many coins. This fusion of cultures spread southeast to Gandhara, the historic region that straddles modern-day Afghanistan, and Pakistan invaders came to the area not just from the west, but also from the east. The Indian dynasty, known as the Mauryaas, wrestled with the Greek successors of Alexander the Great for control over Afghanistan in the late 4th century. Later, a Mauryan ruler, Ashoka, adopted Buddhism and encouraged its practice across the realm. Archaeologists in the 1960s found one of the king's rock attics written in Greek, a nod to the remaining Greek communities in the region near Kandahar in the south of Afghanistan, as well as a multilingual rock inscription in Greek and Aramaic. In later centuries, Gondara became the center of the distinctive sculptural tradition of the rendering Buddha and other Buddhist figures in human form. The art of the high-quality paintings indicates the existence of another religion called the religion of money, which was inspired by the Indo-Greek style in the spirit of the industry of the Assassinate period, Shiva, ISM, and Brahmanism in Kabul, and the coronation of Ryan Kabuli in the region of Shuki Shiva's place in Andachi, Andre's place in the southwest of current Kabul, and Shuk idols of Shiva and Andi idols of Indra and Brahma existed because these two are considered to be the lords of Brahmins. It is still possible to visit those places and hold special ceremonies there, which indicates the existence of this religion in Afghanistan before Islam. In the 7th and 8th centuries, the Umayyad Muslim conquests had toppled the Sinan Empire. The fall of the Sinan administrative capital at Tifon, 20 miles southeast of modern Baghdad, in 637. After this colossal defeat, the last Assassinate Emperor Yard III fled eastward, deep into Central Asia. In pursuing Yard, the Arabs entered the area from northeastern via Herat, where they stationed a large portion of their army before advancing toward northern Afghanistan. Far east, the Muslim conquests were by no means immediate. The population of Afghanistan went through a repetitive pattern of submission, rebellion and resistance, and eventually final submission. Balkh was the first city to come under direct Umayyad control after its conquest by the Umayyad general Qutayba ibn Muslim in 79, having previously garrisoned 12 kilometers away at Al-Barkan. The Muslim soldiers and their MAA moved into the city of Bal in 724. Many of the inhabitants of northern Afghanistan accepted Islam through Umayyad missionary efforts, particularly under the reign of Caliph Hisham and Omar Abdul. In the south, Abd ibn Samar made incursions into Zaban, which was ruled by the Zunbil. During the reign of Alim and his successors, Islam was generally practiced by most inhabitants of the region, and after the Abbasid decline under Yuhubila Safari, Islam was the predominant religion of Kabul and other major cities of Afghanistan. The father of Abu Hanifa, Thit bin Zuta, was born in the territory that is now Afghanistan. He immigrated to Kufa in Iraq, where Abu Hanifa was born. Balkh became the center of education in Afghanistan. The proponents of Islam were the Muslim scholars, or 40 of the 70 have described in the lived there. During the first 2 centuries of Islam, they were an eclectic mix of Arabs and MAA converts who had come from all over the Caliphate, from the Nile to the Oxus. In the early days of Islam were not professional Muslims as such, since their pursuit of Islamic scholarship was largely a private vocation or at best a part-time job. The 40 Muslim scholars of B studied and memorized the Quran and its exegeses, along with hundreds of hadith. They did this while keeping their day jobs as merchants and landowners. The knowledge acquired by B was passed down through the scholarly generations known as silus chains or lineages. The method of teaching was the Shbi'a disputation, carried out during a gathering, MGIs held an informal setting, such as private home or a room in a mosque. This lack of educational formality gave access to Islamic learning to women, some of whom became scholars and teachers in their own right. The MGU's gatherings provided the glue for the silsila lineages of students and disciples who continue the transmission of religious knowledge. This trajectory of Muslim education and professionalization shows that Bal resembled other early Muslim religious centers farther west, most notably Damascus and Baghdad. B's early Muslim scholars also included legal experts who advised and judged on the application of Shah in people's daily lives. The remit was both broad and specific, covering a wide range of issues that included diet, personal hygiene, inheritance property, and marriage rights. Despite the fact that they were appointed directly by the KFF, the early Qadis judges of Bal were powerful and independent. The Qadis presented themselves as protectors of the general populace against the corruption and impunity of political rules. Control over Afghanistan brought financial gain to the Umayyad and Abi alike. For example, according to in the financial year, 826 to 27 hours alone contributed 44.8 million dirhams of Kaj tax to the capital Kirs. The loss of this tax revenue to the Safara dynasty is frequently cited as having precipitated the overall demise of the Abi Caliphate. Control over the cities of Afghanistan, such as Bal, also enabled direct access into the lucrative trade with India via the land routes of the so-called Silk Road. By tapping into existing mercantile networks, the Caliphate linked up with the wealthy lands of India and Central Asia, thus bringing such exotica as elephants from India and musk from Tibet to the Islamic world and beyond. The Muslim chroniclers tells us that such long-distance trade filled Afghan bazaars with horses, camels, dried fruit, wine, spices, sweets, and textiles. Afghanistan today is a country made of many different groups, about 30 million people.
Nearly half of Afghan population are Pashtun and live in the south around Kandahar. They are descendants of people who came to the country 3,200 years ago. Many other groups live in the country as well. Pashtun are related to the Persian people of Iran. The Tajiks are also Persian, but speak another language called Daryan. The Usk speak a language similar to Turkish. The Hazaras live in the mountains of central Afghanistan and are believed to be descended of the Mongols because their Dai language contains many Mongol words. Over the centuries, travelers have braved the dangerous high mountain passes to find shelter in the valleys and plains of Afghanistan. Today, nomads called Kuchi lead their herds of animals across the country and into the mountain pastures for gazing. Afghans take pride in making and flying their own kites. They even have kite fights and use wire or glass in their kites to cut the kite strings of rival kite flyers. Tea is the favorite Afghan drink. In a popular meal is pilo, made from rice, sheep and goat meats and fruit. The country has been called unconquerable and earned the moniker the graveyard of empires, as it has seen a great many military campaigns with its borders, including those by Alexander the Great, the Mongols, and more recently by the British, Soviets and the United States.